So whatever happened to the former all-star running back at the University of Arkansas, number 25, Felix Jones? In this video, that is what we're going to hit on. Felix Jones was a stud running back out of the high school of Booker T. Washington in Tulsa. Felix Jones was an incredible football player and track star. His junior year, even though breaking an ankle earlier in the season, he still finished with 800 rushing yards and 20 touchdowns. His senior year is when he really took off, rushing for over 2,000 yards and 48 total touchdowns. This made him a 4-star recruit, according to Rivals. So Felix Jones held multiple big offers such as Tennessee, Oklahoma State, LSU, but he decided to commit and go play football at the University of Arkansas. While he was at the University of Arkansas, of course, he became a big star, but it wasn't just him there. They also had Darren McFadden and Peyton Hillis. It was a three-headed monster in the backfield for the University of Arkansas. It did not take long for Felix Jones to hit the ground running. In his first year at Arkansas, his first game, he had 8 carries for 137 yards and a touchdown against Missouri State. His freshman season, he ended up with 99 carries, 626 rushing yards with 3 touchdowns, also had 8 receptions for 100 yards. It was the 2006 season where his sophomore year when he really took off. In that year, he combined for a total of 1,168 rushing yards with 6 rushing touchdowns on a total carry amount of 154. That gave him a 7.6 yards per carry average, which led the entire SEC that year. Oh, and that year, he also had another 100-yard kick return for a touchdown against Ole Miss, making him an All-American return specialist. That was the first time in school history that Arkansas had 2 rushers over 1,000 yards rushing. Following year of 2007, his junior year, he just continued to compile stats. It was another year where he rushed for 1,100 yards, totaling 11 total touchdowns, giving him an 8.7 yards per carry, which was second in the SEC that year. He also led the SEC that year in kick returns as he had 18 kick returns for 564 yards and 2 touchdowns. It was also the second straight year that him and Darren McFadden rushed for 1,000 yards apiece. Going into his senior year, Bobby Petrino was taking over the program, and he said Felix Jones was his number 1 recruit that he wanted to get there to stay. But Felix Jones decided to forego his senior year and enter the NFL draft. So after 3 years, Felix Jones' total stats in Arkansas were 387 carries for a total of 2,957 yards and 20 rushing touchdowns. He also tallied 3 receiving touchdowns, and then his kick return stats were also impressive at 64 returns for 1,700 yards and 4 touchdowns. Felix Jones ended up getting drafted to the Dallas Cowboys in round 1, pick 22. Of course, Jerry Jones being the owner of the Cowboys and also an alum of the Arkansas Razorbacks. Guys, if you're liking the video, do me a favor, hit that like button and subscribe to the Coach Plays for anything and everything football, for videos like this, and also film breakdowns. Now back to the video. So going into Felix Jones' career for the Dallas Cowboys, he was meant to be the supporting back for Marion Barber. Marion Barber was a really aggressive downhill running back, kind of very similar to Darren McFadden at the University of Arkansas. Felix Jones was going to be that 1-2 punch alongside of him. Needless to say, the expectations were very high for Felix Jones going in, and his first touch in the NFL was for an 11-yard touchdown. In his first Monday Night Football game, he also had a 98-yard kick return for a touchdown. That was also against rival Philadelphia Eagles. But unfortunately, in week 6, he tore his hamstring, and during the recovery process, he also tore a ligament, I believe, in his foot, and this shut his rookie season down. His total numbers for his rookie seasons up to week 6 were 30 carries for 266 rushing yards and 3 rushing touchdowns. He also had that kick return for a touchdown. He showed the explosiveness, and he was giving defenders a huge problem. In his second year in 2009, Felix Jones started to see his carries increase. Marion Barber was hurt, and it allowed Felix Jones to get his first start where he had 10-plus carries. Felix Jones did have a PCL injury that cost him a couple games, but he came back and finally found his footing, started to really begin his process of becoming a top-tier back in the NFL, and eventually at the end of the year, taking Marion Barber's starting running back job. He set a franchise record with 5.9 yards per carry for the Cowboys. And then going into the Cowboys playoff game where they got their first playoff win since 1996, he had a big game with 16 carries for 148 yards, including a 73-yard touchdown. That 73-yard touchdown is the longest rushing touchdown in Cowboys playoff history. In 2010, his main focus was to bulk up and increase his durability, in which he did. He played in all 16 games, and he led the Cowboys with 800 rushing yards. In 2011, it was Felix Jones' job to lose, and in the fifth game, he did suffer a high ankle sprain, which caused him to miss a couple games, giving the opportunity for a rookie running back named DeMarco Murray to take the job. But DeMarco Murray broke his ankle, and it allowed Felix Jones to get right back in there and have an opportunity to take it. And he didn't do terrible, but Felix Jones just never really fully captured the job. In 2011, Felix Jones' total stats were 127 carries for 520 yards. Going into Felix Jones' last year of his contract with the Dallas Cowboys in 2012, he was not able to participate in any off-season workouts due to injuries, and this led to him failing his conditioning test at the start of fall camp. He eventually was just the backup running back to DeMarco Murray. He did get 7 starts due to DeMarco Murray's injuries, but Felix Jones also dealt with his own knee injuries throughout the season, and he had his lowest yards per carry of his career at just 3.5 yards per carry. He finished that season with a total of all-purpose 664 yards and 5 total touchdowns, and the Cowboys decided to not re-sign Felix Jones, making him a free agent. He was then signed to the Philadelphia Eagles to be the backup to LaShawn McCoy, but he could not hold up that backup position as he eventually got beat out by Chris Polk, got traded to the Pittsburgh Steelers, had a couple games where he rushed for a few yards, but nothing spectacular, and that eventually just ended the career of Felix Jones. Felix Jones was an explosive back coming out of the University of Arkansas, but he was never the bell cow back there. He always had Darren McFadden, he had Peyton Hillis, and while teams like Dallas wanted him to be the bell cow eventually, he just never could hold up, and injuries eventually just caught up to him. I tried to do some research to see what Felix Jones was up to today and really can't find much other than he is great inside his community, always having youth football camps, giving back to the people in Tulsa, and that is really cool to see, seeing a veteran running back, an all-star, a legend at the University of Arkansas giving back like that. He loves being able to coach and give back to the youth community, but it's just an unfortunate situation where Felix Jones had all the skill set, but just another story where injuries kind of caught up to him and just was never able to maximize to his potential. Let me know what you guys think about the story of Felix Jones, what's your greatest memory of, or anything like that. As always, hit that like button, subscribe, stay humble, stay kind, peace.